All right, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. I know that it has been a few weeks since I've done a YouTube video. Man, this summer has just been honestly, busier than I could have ever expected. Especially being a newer company, within this last year. And so I just have not had as much time to dedicate to YouTube as I would have liked. Over the last few weeks, I launched my last video. I think it's probably going on 3.5 to maybe, I don't think it's been 4 weeks quite yet, but I know it's been a minute, and I have footage in the pipeline. I have stuff that I have already filmed. I'm actually currently editing footage from like a day in the life of forestry mulching and several other things that I have already recorded. That footage is all the way back from April, and what is the date today? The 15th of July right now. So I apologize for that. I'm trying my best to keep the content coming here, but YouTube isn't what pays the bills. Running my machine is what pays the bills. So right now, that obviously needs to be where my focus is at when there's work to be done. And lead flow has been crazy lately, and kind of coming off of my Rise Online Ads video, man, my leads have just been flowing in, especially over the 4th of July. It just got crazy. And we've just been trying our best to keep up with the lead flow and phone calls, text messages, emails, site visits, and then actually sending out quotes and doing jobs. So doing my best. I'll keep the videos coming. I haven't dropped the ball on the YouTube channel. I know that happens a lot where somebody starts to grow a channel and they do their best to keep the machine fed, and then all of a sudden you drop off and the algorithm stops showing your footage and views drop and subscriptions drop. And I'm trying my best to not let that happen. But again, I have to dedicate my time where I have to dedicate my time. And right now that's just been to the company and executing jobs and, sending out estimates and calling customers. So anyway, this video, I have a long drive ahead of me here this morning, so I wanted to get back to the mini series that I spoke about, where I originally talked about doing a mini series on several different aspects of this business. And I started that with my take on the best skid steers for this business. And I think I followed that up with forestry mulchers, the best forestry mulchers in my opinion. And then I said from there we were going to go into truck and trailer combinations. And this is all again in relation to guys that are just getting started and just trying to figure out exactly what it is that they need. And then from there, after truck and trailer, my plan was to kind of go into some miscellaneous things that, as a business owner in the forestry service industry, you might want to have on you, you might want to own, you might want to buy, you might want to have on your truck at all times. Just kind of things that you wouldn't necessarily think you would need or wouldn't think about until all of a sudden the occasion arises where you need it. And then sometimes in those cases, if you're on the job, it's too late. And that will be, shouldn't say that it's too late. You can always go get it, but it's inconvenient to take time out of your job that day to actually go get something that you didn't think you were going to need. And then all of a sudden that time wasn't factored into your quote, and now you're losing money. Anyway, we'll get into that when I get to the next video. This video, I want to do truck and trailer combinations for towing around a forestry mulching rig. And I've spoke a little bit about that in my Diamond C trailer review video in terms of GVWRs and weight capacities and what types of trailers, and a little bit about the truck and that sort of thing, and CDL requirements, etc. But I'm just going to kind of I'll probably recap some of that information in this video, but ultimately I'm just going to try to do my best to make this about truck and trailer. So without further ado, here we go. So my current rig, I'm just going to start with my current rig. My current rig for towing around my machine, which again, you all know, Kubota SVL 97-2 currently, and I'm running 2 different Vail Forestry mulchers. So when I have the mulcher attached to my machine, and I've got chains and binders and everything on my trailer, the weight comes out to be about 14,200 pounds, give or take, you know, a little bit. And so my current trailer, I'm running a Diamond C LPX 208 series. It's a 20-foot trailer. It has an 18,000 pound or 18K GVWR. The trailer itself weighs 4,000 pounds, which means that legally I can tow around 14,000 pounds on that trailer. So I'm actually over by a couple of 100 pounds for what that trailer is actually rated for from a legal perspective. Now, mechanically, most trailers of any quality are overbuilt, and so the trailer has the ability to tow or to hold quite a bit more weight than what the GVWR says it can. But we can kind of get into that a little bit later in the video. Again, I'm just going to go, that's my trailer at the moment. And then my truck is a 2022 Ram 5500 chassis cab. And there's an aluminum flatbed on the back of that truck. So I know chassis cabs can be outfitted with many things. They come bare, basically just the frame and the rear wheels on the back, and then you can put whatever you want on it. Mine has an aluminum flatbed. I bought it with the aluminum flatbed. I'm probably, if I keep this truck long term, I'm probably going to put a steel flatbed on it. The aluminum, some of the welds and stuff had some cracks in it when I bought it. I did not buy this truck new. And so anyway, that is what I'm running. Now, there's a reason that I'm running that truck. And when I started this company, I actually started out with a smaller truck. I started out with an F250 6.7 liter Power Stroke, so diesel truck. And the 250 actually had an F350 upgraded suspension on it. And so that was what allowed me to be able to tow that much weight around. You know, with the standard stock 250 suspension, it's just not enough to tow that much weight. You know, to tow a trailer that weighs 4,000 pounds and then put an additional 14,000 pounds on that trailer. A standard F250 is just, in my opinion, not the truck that you want to be using for towing around that much weight. The upgraded 350 suspension with the additional leaf springs and the larger axle actually got it to the point where I could. But even with that 350 upgraded suspension, man, that truck, from an engine perspective, transmission perspective, no problems at all. You know, it's still, whether you have an F250 Power Stroke or you have an F450 Power Stroke, it's still a 6.7 liter Power Stroke. The engine and the transmission are the same, but it's the suspension that gets you. And I'm sure that's common knowledge for most people, but for those of you that don't know, that is the case. And so, sorry, I'm paying attention to my GPS here. I think I'm about to go straight when I need to turn right. And let's see if I can pull this off. Yes. All right. That is the case. And so basically it's just, I got to a point where it felt like the load was working the truck rather than the truck working the load, especially when you'd get into higher speed situations. You get out there on the interstate and you'd get into like going up and down hills and through turns and stuff like that, and situations that get a little hairy with braking, and then, you know, you'd need to brake sooner than expected, and then all of a sudden you've got 20,000 pounds behind you pushing the truck. And that truck, my 250, did have an exhaust brake, which helps. It doesn't have the quality exhaust brake that the Ram 5500 has. That's another topic. The exhaust brake on that truck is pretty amazing. But that obviously helps. My trailer obviously has trailer brakes, and so all those things help. But it got to be a little bit hairy. I didn't like how it felt. And ultimately that is what led to me upgrading to the 5500. Now, I probably a little bit overkill with the 5500 dually. I did want a truck that was a dually, though. Even without going to the 5500, I still would have got a dually. So you arguably could jump into a 1-ton with dual rear wheels, and you honestly would probably be okay. And I know there are guys out there that do that run that, but man, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, you guys can do what you want, but the smallest truck, after having done this for a period of time now, the smallest truck that I would want to run for towing around this type of equipment, truthfully, is, let's just say it's Ford, would be an F450 dually, a Ram 4500, same thing, you know, Chevy, whatever you want to go with, but an F450 dually would be the smallest that I would want to go. And if I ever get rid of my Ram 5500, honestly, my top choice probably would be a Ford F450 dually. And so the Ram 5500 has been a great truck, and it really was a massive upgrade from the F250 in terms, which rightfully so, it's a very different truck, but it went to feeling like the load was working the truck, to now all of a sudden I feel like the truck is in control of the load between the electric brakes, the exhaust brake that truck has, the dual rear wheels just for stabilization, and my current trailer is a bumper pull, and I'll probably be upgrading to a gooseneck here in the near future for other reasons. But anyway, that's my current rig, and that, in my opinion, is in the ballpark of what you want to be running. Now, the issue, you run into some issues in this business in terms of, I know everybody is thinking about CDL requirements, and if you don't currently have one, man, anymore to get your CDL is not as easy as it used to be. And now you actually are, and depending on the state, I'm sure, I don't know what the laws are for other states, but in Wisconsin, you now have to take a class, basically a diesel driving class, that can be anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 before you can even go get your CDL. You can't just go down to the DMV, take a test, and get your CDL anymore. And that cost is pretty astronomical when you consider how much it costs to start a company like this in the first place, just for, you know, just from the position of obtaining your equipment and starting your LLC and just all of that. I mean, the costs really add up, as you guys know. We've talked about all that before. And so another $3,000 to $5,000 to go get your CDL, sure, if it can be avoided, why wouldn't a person want to avoid that? The problem is that the equipment in forestry, just whether it's excavators, skid steers with mulchers, you know, 100 horsepower machines, and you tack a 3,000-pound forestry head on the end of that, and it starts to get really difficult to stay below CDL territory really fast. And I will tell you guys that was the main reason for me wanting to go with a smaller truck in the beginning, was I wanted to stay under CDL territory. And I was actually able to do that by going with the F250 with the 350 upgraded suspension and my 18K Diamond C trailer. So in Wisconsin, CDL requirements are a combined gross vehicle weight ratio, combined meaning your truck and your trailer combination. So the GVWR of your trailer plus the GVWR of your truck needs to be 26,000 pounds even or less to stay under CDL territory. If it's 26,001 pounds or more, then by law you are required to have a CDL, Class A CDL. In this case, for the trailer that you'll be hauling with the truck you're hauling it with. And with my combination, now I know what you guys are probably thinking. You said, well, Zach, you said you had an 18K trailer, and the GVWR on an F-250 is 10,000 pounds. Well, that is 28,000 pounds. So one thing that you can get some of these companies to do is they will derate the trailer by sending you upgraded VIN stickers for the truck, essentially taking a mechanically rated 18K trailer and dropping it down to 16K. So actual mechanical GVWR of 18K, they can derate it down to 16K, which you put the new stickers on there, and basically if the state police were to ever pull you over, they would say, well, this trailer is they don't know that it's been derated. They shouldn't know anyway. They just look at the VIN sticker and it's registered at 16K. The sticker on the trailer says 16K, therefore it's a 16K trailer. And then you add that to the 10K GVWR of the truck, and we are dead even at 26,000 pounds. I know I jumbled up there with my words a little bit. Hopefully that makes sense. And so that is how I was able to stay below 26,001, did not need a CDL. But again, going back, my experience with that size truck just wasn't, it was what I said it was. I didn't like it. So anyway, long story short, we upgraded to the Ram 5500, and the GVWR of that truck is 19,500 pounds. And so now I'm way above the threshold, for needing a Class A CDL. So that ended up becoming necessary on my part. And, I was able to avoid it for a little while. And, once we upgraded to that truck, wasn't able to avoid it anymore. So that's kind of just a brief schooling on CDL requirements. And if you go essentially anything above a standard F-250 with an 18K trailer, you're gonna legally end up needing a Class A CDL. Now, that's up to you guys. Like, I'm not telling you that you have to go get it because you're hauling a rig that essentially requires you to have a CDL. This is not advice. This is just my personal opinion. For the most part, if you stay local cops don't really know the law. They don't really care in terms of, pulling you over because you're hauling a rig that, you should have a CDL for and you don't. But if you get out on the interstate and the state police get involved, they do know the law. You start passing weigh stations and things like that, and those guys they're just more knowledgeable on the topic. So if they can identify, if, for example, if you're driving a tandem dual gooseneck, most state troopers understand that trailer is probably rated at least 20K. And if you were hauling that with literally any truck, they would understand that whoever's driving that needs to have a Class A CDL. So you can kind of paint a target on your back if you get out there and do a lot of interstate driving with a rig that requires you to have a CDL and you don't have one. And so that's just, again, a little bit of information. I'm not telling you what to do. You can get away with it, but I will tell you that to my knowledge, the fines for needing one and not having one can be pretty astronomical, to the point where it would have just been smart to go get the CDL, take the class, and be done with it. So that's just a little bit. I don't want to make this video too long, guys. This isn't super complicated if you have somebody spewing the right knowledge to you about gross vehicle weight ratios and how all that works. Me trying to find all that information in the beginning was a little bit stressful, just because there was a lot of nuanced videos depending on what state the video was coming from and all that. And I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more cut and dry about what kind of rig you would want to be hauling your equipment with. Now, getting into some more like ergonomic things, my trailer it has raised, you guys have probably seen it, it has raised wheel wells on it. And that is something that I would recommend staying away from. The space between the wheel wells on my trailer is 80 inches. The track width on most 100 horse machines, like my track width 77 inches. Some of these machines get right up to 80 inches, and it just gets to be a really annoying tight fit when trying to squeeze those tracks in between the wheel wells without messing up your wheel wells. I mean, if you even clip those wheel wells, even with like 3/16 diamond plate drive over fender, like if you even clip those wheel wells with a machine that heavy, you can mess them up. And so I'm pretty used to it at this point, but I'm still probably going to upgrade to a deck over trailer, just a complete flatbed deck over, where the wheels are beneath the deck is what the deck over term means. And you've got all that deck space. You don't have to worry about running into anything with your tracks. Typical standard trailer width with a deck over trailer is 102 inches wide. And so again, the track width on my machine 77 inches wide. So you have plenty of room. And honestly, my current trailer being 18K, right on that line, right? Like my Kubota with my mulcher weighs 14,100 or 14,200 pounds. So technically my trailer, even at 18K, even not being derated, even the full on 18K that trailer, is from the factory, is still not enough legally to be hauling that equipment. Now it hauls it just fine. I've not had any problems. I'm only a couple of 100 pounds over. It's not the end of the world, but I'm at a point in this where I want to make sure that we're doing everything right, and I don't want to have to worry. We had to go get the CDL. I don't want to have to worry about getting pulled over and taken to a weigh station, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you're 200 pounds over, we got to fine you. So when I do upgrade, not only am I going to upgrade to a deck over, I'm also going to probably get one that's a little bit longer. My current trailer is 20 feet. I'm probably going to go up to like 28, maybe even 32, just to be able to fit some attachments on there. Like right now, when I take both mulchers with me, I have to put one mulcher on my flatbed, hook the other one up to the machine, put that on the trailer. I don't have enough room. I would like to just have enough room on my trailer. I'm probably going to go with a tandem dual. So tandem axle, dual rear wheel, so 8 wheels on the back, and I'm probably going to get at least a 20K. I honestly would like something upwards of like 25.9, to be honest with you. And we'll see how that goes. There's going to be an excavator in my future here too, and I'm kind of debating on what size excavator we need. Whether it's going to be, a 10,000 pound or a 13,000 pound or an 18,000 pound. And all of those things are things that you guys are going to want to think about heading into the future of your company, and just try to get some of those things right up front, and I realize that sometimes budget may not allow for that. But in those cases, you have to do what you have to do. I'd rather you guys be able to start your company with what you've got than just say, well, I can't get everything I want, so I should just wait. And maybe in some cases that is true. Maybe you decide that if you can't get everything you want, you do wait. But in most cases, guys are going to want to just do what they have to do to just get started. And in my opinion, that is what I would recommend. You got to just get started. But that said, keep some of these things in mind. These videos I'm putting these videos together to kind of help you guys from, I don't want to say making some of the same mistakes I made, because I have made some mistakes, but this wasn't necessarily a mistake. It's just a learning curve. But if you can bypass some of that and you have the budget to do so, then why not? And that is what I hope these videos help you guys do, is just to understand a little bit more about that. I could ramble for days on this stuff, just with the experience that I've had and the videos that I've watched and the things that I've read. But I'm going to try to keep the videos a little bit on the shorter side, or at least on average what my other videos have been. I know they get to be long, 30 to 40 minutes, but so far, the subscriptions seem to keep coming, and you guys seem to keep asking questions, and people keep watching. So I'm not going to change a whole lot. And I know that this is a broad topic that a lot of people probably have opinions on and knowledge on, and different different outcomes depending on what state you live in. Again, I don't know the laws in the other states. I'm sure it's probably fairly similar from one state to the next, but feel free to drop it down in the comments below, guys, and let me know, if things are different in your state. If there's anything I said that you have questions on, please let me know. Drop that in the comments below. I'm always very responsive, and we can talk about it. I mean, I'm also always open to other interpretations or things that maybe even I'm not aware of, but that's what I'm running right now, guys, and that's kind of my plan in terms of what my future is going to look like. Right now, I don't have any intentions of upgrading my truck or downgrading my truck. I like the truck that we're driving, the Ram 5500. It does have a Cummins diesel engine in it. The towing capacity on that truck is about 36,000 pounds, 30 to 36, somewhere in there. And so we are plenty fine with that truck. I mean, we're not at risk of being overweight, and we're not at risk being overweight from a suspension standpoint or a towing capacity standpoint. So I really like the truck. It's been working out really well for me, and I really like my Diamond C trailer too, but it is just a little bit smaller than what I would like. So I will tell you that I don't really want to sell that trailer. I will if I have to, but I would like to be able to keep that one and still upgrade to the 32 foot or 28, 30 foot, 32, whatever we end up with, tandem dual deck over gooseneck with, probably a 20 to 25.9 GVWR, somewhere in there. I'm not essentially looking to buy that trailer brand new. So that's why I say 20 to 25.9, because I'm probably going to be subject to whatever I can find used. And it really seems to vary, especially on Marketplace. Some of them are 20, some of them are 22, some of them are 24, some of them are 25, 25.9. It really depends on the manufacturer for those numbers. But at the end of the day, they're probably all fairly similar from one to the next, and it'll come down to price and wear and tear, when buying a used trailer. For me, I have found trailers in that nature anywhere from $7,000 all the way up to $20,000 used, depending on how new and what brand. But anyways, guys, I'm not going to ramble too much more. I could go on for days again about CDL requirements and weight capacities and GVWRs and what's legal and what's not legal, and what the trailers can mechanically haul versus what they can legally haul, and all that bullshit. So I'll kind of leave it to you guys here. Put the ball in your court. If there's anything that you want me to cover that I didn't cover, or if you feel like there needs to be some more detail, and I can kind of break some of this stuff down for you a little bit more. But as always, guys, I really appreciate the comments and the likes and the subscriptions. The YouTube part of this for me is just for fun, and it's just basically put together to, again, help you guys try to make sense of some of the stuff that can be a little bit more difficult to make sense of. There's enough to do when starting a company like this, and it can get real frustrating real quick trying to learn the ins and outs of, in terms of this video, just how to legally haul your equipment down the highway. Sometimes, I know for me, that was even a little bit more stressful than just starting the company in general. So I'm sure I skipped over some stuff, but if I did, please let me know. Again, drop it in the comments. I'll do my best to respond. I don't believe I've missed any comments so far on any of my videos. My subscriptions, my channel is growing, but I still believe I've been pretty upfront with answering comments and even getting on the phone with guys too. I mean, I'm not opposed to dropping my phone number in the comments and letting you guys I'll get on the phone, text and call, whatever. I've actually made several friends that I still talk with maybe every week to every other week, just from this YouTube channel. So feel free, guys, if you have questions, ask me, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel grow and helps this content get in front of the people who need to see it. So I'll catch you on the next one.